Yo, what's going on, guys? So what I'm gonna be doing for you guys today is just going over CL's price action today. I'm gonna explain a little about a weekly profiles, daily profiles, 4-hour profiles, failure to reverse stuff, string switching, everything, right? So CL today was just a really great example. So let's get straight into it. So what we can see here from the previous week is that we basically expanded into a weekly swing high. And what we see right here is when this high gets hit, we can basically see we start reacting from it, right? And this is going to be even more clear on RB, where we basically take out this high and then we close back inside the range. So this is generally speaking where we can expect the next week on RB to be more bearish because it's showing us that strength. You see how we close below this low on the weekly, we take out the swing high, while CL doesn't fail to close below this low. But overall, like intraday or within that week, we can see some strength switching going on. So it makes sense still to trade like CL or some other stuff, right? But let's get right into it. So what we see right here is that we have the weekly open. So let's just mark that out. So previous week hit a weekly swing high, a relevant key target. If we go down to the daily time frame, we can see that on Wednesday with HO we formed this lower low. So it's showing us a Wednesday reversal to a Thursday basic retracement and then a Friday expansion past this gap, right? So this is generally speaking where if you form this reversal, so this is making the wick of that weekly candle. So that's where the next week is likely to come lower. Now we want of course a clear profile to frame this lower. What do we have as targets? We have these equal lows right here. So this is a great target which you actually took out today. And we're going to explain the profile and the narrative behind and why you should frame this lower. And yeah. So what we see right here is that I want you to focus on what Monday did. So on Monday, right, we have this gap. So what we see on Friday, since we expanded, it's creating this fair value gap. So if we mark this out, we have this fair value gap. And we also have, just look at the range overall. If you look on RB, what do we see? We see that RB is basically on Monday, it's just consolidating. It's just making this indecision candle, as you can see. So there's when the next day, basically just inside bars, where it just basically consolidates, right? And that's generally speaking where you don't want to frame any trades on CL. And I remember from yesterday, we got 0 delivery. I wanted to take a trade here, but there was just no delivery. The framework was, or like on the low time frame, the 4-hour profile hourly, it looked really clean overall for how I trade. But like the volume and the expansion wasn't there. I'm going to explain the reason why. So we have this inside bar, right? Range high, range low. We consolidate. What we see on Wednesday, I'm going to go to the low time frame so it makes more sense. But we basically trade higher in London or in Asia and London. We hit this range high, which would be this fair value gap. What is this also? This is the weekly open. So all we're doing here is we're coming higher. We're filling this fair value gap. And what is this high? High of week. So Wednesday makes a new high of week. So we're reversal. So this is just order pairing. Taking out one range high. Then we take the range low in the same day, basically. Consolidation, manipulation, distribution. Right? Pretty clear. Now, a great signature that we have here is that if CL, what we can see is that we close below this low. We're expanding past this low. So this is that fail to reverse where if Tuesday trades below this low and fails to reverse, then what is likely RB going to do is going to catch up. But we actually have to form like a protected or established type to trade away from. Otherwise, we don't really know when and where we're going to get that expansion. Because if you look on HO as well, if you look on Monday, what I want to happen here was for Tuesday, which is why I wanted to frame CL lower on Tuesday, for it to form my SMT right here, because you see how close we are to this high. So I want something like this, where we form this reversal, making that new weekly wick inside this gap, and then we can trade Wednesday lower. But when that didn't happen, that is where we basically used what can we call it? The range is loading, where we're gonna get probably, which we did get today, a huge expansion, just because it's loading up liquidity. We're loading up liquidity where we basically just consolidate. This high becomes a really relevant buy sell liquidity target, and this low becomes a really significant sell sell liquidity objective. So the draw becomes really clear for us when one range is taken. So if we go back to CL, what can we see? RB takes out this high, CL doesn't. So we have this SMT. And when we understand points of continuation, what would this be? This would be the only point of continuation, because what other place would we actually reverse from? So that is likely where if we're gonna come lower here, we wanna see today if CL can expand past this low, because we still have targets lower, right? Like even on the monthly as well, bro. I mean, we have all this low resistance, right? Now, this is not something I'm going to target this week, of course, but maybe in the upcoming months. But this low is definitely still valid to frame this week, right? Because it's only Wednesday. We still have Thursday and Friday. So that's where we want to see, like, okay, right now we hit this low. Maybe we get some sort of retracement, right? Because we're not expanding away. That's a good signature. We basically maybe retrace back inside this previous dealing range, and then maybe form some sort of, like, we maybe have like a 30-minute swing. Like this would be a relevant high. Maybe reverse of here to then trade past this low. And that is generally speaking where RB, which is right now the weaker one, just because you see this low, we already took it out on Tuesday, and we traded below it and we closed below it. So now that we understand that we just made SMT at high of week at this fair value gap. So this would be, like we talked about before, a SMT fill, right? So now we can go down to the lower time frame. So we can go down to the 4-hour time frame. So what I want you to look at here is how the daily candle was forming. So what we did at the daily candle was that, let's mark at the open right here. We open high first. And what is that a signature of? It's a signature for full low price, because we're making that top wick before we're gonna catch the body, right? Just making the wick to catch the body. And this is the body that is made within this day. And what we see is that when we open the day, do we trade into something relevant? No. We're just leaving low resistance. And if you look at the sessions, you see how we kind of like expand. I would say, yeah, it's kind of an expansion. It's not like, it's pretty a lackluster expansion in Asia. We don't move much within this 4-hour time period. But overall, it's leaving like targets to the downside, right? Because it would be different if we did something like this, where we basically opened Asia, we open low first into these failure swings, and then we form like a protected low to trade away from, right? But in this scenario, we're just leaving low resistance, and now we're using order pairing, where, as we said before, we have a range high, a range low. What is it? Is there anything more significant? These highs are not significant, right? Because the daily wick wouldn't support a bearish expansion if you come all the way up here, right? So that is where we want to see some bearish price action overall. So what we see right here is we form this SMT. Now, many people ask me like, okay, we don't have any like sweep of this previous 4-hour high, but it doesn't really matter in this scenario, because Garrett even talks about this a lot as well, right? We basically expand into a high. So if the 6 a.m. candle expands into a high, then what is likely the next 4-hour candle gonna do? It's gonna expand lower, because this would be the only point. We have a relevant swing, only point of continuation. What do we have to the left? Nothing. This is not significant. And like, if we're gonna come all the way up here, does that really support a bearish daily expansion? No, of course not. It wouldn't even make sense to come all the way up here, right? So that is where 6 a.m. hits a key level. What can next candle do? It can expand away. But this is where, if you don't want to just take an entry of like a fractal here because you don't trust it overall, that's where you can wait for like an hourly or 30-minute opposing candles. So we hit this high, 9 a.m. If we look at 30-minute, 9:30 hits this high. And then we close below this 30-minute opposing candles. And what is this making? This is making this a protected high to trade away from. What do we have below? We have all this low resistance, right? We have weekly equal lows right here. This is weekly equal lows. We already formed the reverse of the previous week, forming this reversal on Wednesday. Friday expands, coming back to that new high of week in that fair value gap, right? We have all these low resistance lows, forming this 30-minute protected high. So then internal to this range, what we want to happen? We want to form some sort of fractal model. So what we see right here is that we basically expand into this low, which would be London low. And when we expand to this low, what do we want to wait for? We want to wait for a new phase of price, right? Now, many people, I see that the problem many people make is that if we basically expand here, many people will just get in of the order block. So let's say let's just assume for a second, even though we didn't. Let's just say we close below this opposing candle right when we hit this low, and then we close below. Many people are gonna enter because, oh, this is a continuation signature, but you have to wait for the new phase of price. Is it gonna expand with expand? Like, is it gonna come higher here? Is it gonna reverse this low, or is it gonna retrace? Now in this scenario, we retrace, so we're just retracing back inside the range. We're forming a protected high. So this is gonna be more clear, like I said, on the 30 minute. We form this protected high. So we form this fractal model, right? We're making a candle 2, right? We're retesting this order block right here on the 30 minutes. So we already have this protected 30-minute high. And then at 11 a.m., we can see we form this fractal model. So we manipulate this high. We close below this opposing candle right here. We form that change in state. Trade below, right? We form a propulsion block. And then we can see the next up and coming candles expands into these lows. Now I'm going to explain why I actually didn't take this, and it's pretty obvious to me. If you look at the correlated asset, we want them to actually trade with each other, right? Now on RB, trade pretty similar. Now I don't like this either, just because you see how when we expect a retracement, we want it to maybe respect like 50% of range. We can see, but here we're in super deep premium, and on HO we're even in bigger premium, right? We're in super deep premium, as we can see right here. And this is where I demand like a SMT on this high, because if we're gonna come so close to this high, if we make SMT here, this would have been valid now, because now what is this high? It's that 4-hour high, right? So maybe now we can form like a 10 a.m. reversal of this 6 a.m. high, because now we're like failing, we're coming super deep inside the range. So if we did SMT right here, now I can actually frame like that first change in state. If we had order block, what would this be? This would be a 2C SMT, higher time frame SMT, 4-hour SMT. We have this 30-minute fractal. Now something we can also note is within this wick right here. So it works the exact same. It's just fractalized, right? So we close below this hourly opposing candle, right? Close below here, right? We hit a low, we retrace. Within this 11 a.m. candle, what does it do? It's making this candle 2 on the 30-minute. So what can next 11:30 candle do? Expand. Because this is not significant. Why would we take out such a significant buy side objective to then just take out long and low and then reverse? It wouldn't make any sense, right? But that's where I kind of like, I still need my criteria, right? This is just kind of like it's coming too close to this high, and that is a super red flag for me, because now we have like these highs. Maybe like HO will come and take out these highs, right? Looks more like it to me. Maybe we may make another SMT on this high, right? Because now that would be this high, right? We take out this high on CL, right? And now maybe HO wants to catch up to that high, and then all assets reverse. This can be some sort of asset synchronization stuff where all assets, we can see that RB already hit this high, we failed to reverse. CL hits this high, we failed to reverse lower. So now maybe HO has to hit this high for all assets to actually reverse lower. That happens a lot of times, which we have to be careful of. Now you might ask, what entry can you actually take here? Now what entry you can take here is that you can wait for this protected high to get formed, or what you can do is like, I don't really like this. There's no like, I usually only trade like a swing strategy with a sweep. I want that sweep. I don't want that closure above. That is not signaling lower prices for me. So like for me right here, there wasn't any significant, I couldn't really get entry here. So the best entry would have been on the 30-minute, this 30-minute fractal, like I talked about before, from this C2 close below, and then we can trade the continuation or the reversal into these lows. But like I said, overall for me, it didn't make much sense just because how HO and RB was trading so deep in premium overall. So I kind of wanted that previous 4-hour high to get manipulated when 10 a.m. opened around here, right? So that is the overall analysis, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this one, of course, give a like. And if there's anything else you want to see from me, just let me know. There's a lot of guys that been messaging me about stuff, but there's so much stuff. So I will try to get through most of the stuff, but just send more comments. I'm working on it, you know. So I appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like and comment, and goodbye.